Hey guys, how we doing? Howdy, come on in Libby's Kentucky Kitchen and let's get to cooking something good. You want to? We are going to make some Amish cinnamon bread. This is one, it's like a cinnamon coffee cake kind of thing. This is one of Ricky's favorites. He loves this. So let's just get to it, and it's not a hard recipe at all. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to kind of read it off to you. That way, if you want to write it down, you can. So we start off with 1 cup of just regular old granulated sugar. Okay. And to that, we add a 1/2 cup or 1 stick of softened butter. You know, room temperature is fine. I didn't have enough out because I had used mine, so I stuck it in the microwave. Now, you don't want it completely melted, but, you know, just good and soft. I stuck it in there for like 30 seconds, okay? And so we're just going to start by creaming those together, okay? Now, the recipe calls to put this in a loaf pan, but I have decided, and I do it pretty regular, I'm going to put mine in a bunt pan because I just like the way it looks. It looks pretty and it can go right on my cake plate. You know, I have one of the ones with the glass dome. So then 1 egg. And so it looks real good in there. So that's how I'm going to do that. So we have a 1/2 cup of softened butter, 1 egg, 1 cup of sugar. And we want to get that kind of mixed in there. Right now is the time that you want to make sure that everything is mixed in real well, because you know, later on, once we start getting the flour and stuff on, well, in just a minute, we don't want to over mix it then, because then your bread's going to be, you know, kind of tough. So, and that's not what we want. So if you can see how this is kind of once you get it stirred really, really good, and I'm slinging it everywhere, it kind of, the color lightens up. You know, it's not that real dark orange anymore. It's, you know, a pale yellow once you get it all whipped in there real good. Okay, and you can use a whisk for that. But, I mean, you don't have to, but you can. All right, so now we have 2 cups of flour. And we need some baking soda. We're going to put in 1 teaspoon of baking soda in our 2 cups of flour. And then when you do that, make sure you kind of, and I had already sifted this flour ahead of time. So it is sifted. So, but you want to make sure that baking soda is kind of moved around in there, because you don't want no big clumps. So now what we're going to do is we are going to alternate 2 cups of flour with 1 cup of buttermilk. And buttermilk is what gives this cake a, well, bread. It's a bread. It gives it this special little twang. I don't know, it's kind of unexplainable, but I mean, if you don't have buttermilk, what you can do, you know, if you can get it, then get it. But if you can't, then you can use regular old sweet milk and put, for a cup, I would put about maybe not a full, but about a tablespoon of vinegar in it. And let it sit there for a few minutes, and it's going to cause a chemical reaction, right? Where it kind of makes a cross between buttermilk and sour milk. And that would be your next best thing. And if you wanted to, you know, make this gluten-free, I'm sure you could probably use almond flour in this. Now, I don't know about vegans. I'm not sure about their substitute for egg. But of course, the almond milk would work fine. And you can still do that same little vinegar trick with the with the almond milk, and that works just fine. And so now once we get all this, and when I get to this point, I kind of try to fold it in, because like I said, you don't want to way overwork this, right? And it's not going to be as thin as what a cake mix is, because it's a bread. But it's not going to be as thick as a banana bread. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to layer this. So you'll need 1/3 cup of sugar to 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. So we put half of our batter down, we put a layer of that and swirl it, and then we cover it and then put another layer of that on top. So we are just going to and I'm going to cook mine. The recipe says 350, but my oven cooks kind of hot. So I'm probably going to do 325. So now we just want to put a layer of this in the bottom. And it'll probably take, I would say, 45 minutes anyways. But now I would start checking it at 40. Now, if you do 325, it's going to take a little bit longer. The recipe actually calls for 350. But my oven cooks a little hotter than a lot of them. And I have been known to burn things. That has happened. So then you take your, 1/3 cup of sugar and your tablespoon of cinnamon. Or teaspoon. If you don't like it real cinnamon, use a teaspoon. Start with the teaspoon and then decide if you want more. Now, we keep this cinnamon sugar mixed up all the time. And what I put in mine, I have my own special little blend that I use. I use my sugar. I use a really, really good cinnamon. And then I use fresh nutmeg, freshly ground. And I use an apple pie spice that I get from the Amish. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of swirl that around. And you're going to want quite a bit of it. After I swirl that a little bit, then I'm going to put a little bit more on there. Okay, so I did a swirl. Now I'm going to put a little more. And you got to be generous with the cinnamon here, because that's what's giving your cake flavor. You know what? I'm going to put the vanilla in. I guess that first layer is not going to have vanilla, is it? The second layer is. You know what? That happens. I'm not going to pull it back out of there. But the top layer is going to have vanilla. Right? So here we go. And I'm sure it's going to be delicious. I have never had them complain about my cinnamon bread, that's for sure. Like I said, this is one of Ricky's favorites. He loves this. So now we're just going to put another layer, and this is going to rise a little. It's not going to do no huge super rise or anything, but it will rise a little. And like I said, the original recipe is for a loaf of bread. And I'm just choosing to do the bunt because it fits really well in my cake plate. I have one of the cake plates that's got the glass on the top, so that'll work real well. All right, now after we get all that in there, what we're going to do now is we're going to put another layer of the cinnamon and sugar. And again, we want to swirl that in. And I mean, you don't have to be super picky about this, but you don't really want it all just laying on the top either. So, and there it is. There it is. And it will be so good when it comes out. Now, sometimes I put a glaze, a simple glaze on this, and sometimes I don't. It just depends on what strikes me that day. Now, if I'm going to put a glaze on it, what I'll put on it is I will use about, say, 2 tablespoons of butter, about 1.5 cups of powdered sugar, and then maybe a tablespoon of either milk or heavy whipping cream or, you know, evaporated milk if that's what you got. If you don't have milk, then use water. But here's what it looks like. And oh, it is so cinnamony, yummy. Ricky loves this one. It's one of his favorites. So I will put it in the oven, like I said, at 325 is what I'm going to cook mine at. Now, the recipe calls for 350, but my oven cooks hot. And it says cook it from 40 to 45 minutes. So I'll put mine on 325. I'll set my timer for 40 minutes. And it may take longer because I'm cooking at a little lower temperature. Plus, I'm in this kind of pan instead of a heavy loaf pan. That matters too. So, but I will set the timer for 45 minutes. And then when this is done, when it gets done, I will post a picture. And, you know, if I do decide to do a glaze, then I'll do a little short video clip of the glaze and how I put it on. Now, when I take this out of the oven, I'll probably leave it sit for, you know, maybe 5 or 10 minutes before I try to flip it out. That way it'll be good and set up. Like I said, I'll post a video after. I wish you guys all a blessed day. Rejoice in this day. It's a day that the Lord has made. And, you know, no matter what you're going through, because everybody goes through something. Everybody does. You just got to know you got a friend that's not by your side, but that is in front of you, leading you, guiding you the whole way. Rely on Him. Rely on Jesus Christ, because He is the only way. I love y'all. God bless. Till next time.